Okay, this ghost story is called Dead Island, and it's gonna go. A guy named John wins a trip on a boat ride through the ocean, and he won it through like a lottery thing. So he's all excited the whole week. He's planning. He's supposed to just get on like a big boat and just go on a ride through the ocean for a whole weekend and be back by Monday. So he's all pumped up. He's ready to go. So what happens is it doesn't really turn out the way he wants it to turn out. So on the day of the trip, he meets a few other people that are taking the same trip that won in other areas. He meets a girl named Brianna, and he meets a guy named um, Timothy. Call him Tim is his name, but his real name's Timothy, but they call him Tim. So I met a girl named Brianna and a guy named Tim, and and John, he goes on the boat and he's walking around. He keeps talking to Brianna and Tim every now and then. He goes up. He orders like a milkshake because this is one of those big boats, with pools and everything on them. Well, what happens is the boat, about I'd say about 2 days, about one day into the ship ride, the big boat that they're on starts to sink. Something happens to it and it breaks down in the middle of the ocean and it starts to sink. So they're rushing all the people into these safety boat things so they can get them off of the boat so nothing happens to them. So everyone's rushing to get off the boat. Everyone's worrying. They're all rushing to get off the boat. They're all scared and stuff. And when they get off the boat, they get onto these little, what do you call them? Little emergency raft type boats that you couldn't stay on for a night or so, or you wind up dying from there's no way you could get back to land or anything on these boats. So there's about 3 different rafts and they're all sticking together. They got life jackets on and stuff. It's really stormy and rainy out. It's about midnight, and they point over. They're like, "Do you see that island over there? Maybe we should go to that random island that no one knows of." The thing is just an island in the ocean, middle of the ocean. So they all paddle and they get to this island. When they get off the island, they don't see any sign of life or anything on the island. They're on this little island. It's got woods, not woods, but island woods. There's pine tree things, and not pine trees, but you know what I'm talking about, all around. So they're walking around trying to at least find somewhere to stay. And they're like, well, what we're gonna do is we'll pull the boats up into the shore. We'll go put the boats somewhere, and we'll all try to sleep on the boats or around the boats. And tomorrow we'll try to find a way to get off of this island. And they're like, they're all scared, I don't want to die on this island. They're all sitting around crying, they don't want to get stuck and die on this island. So, the driver of the boat, the one that was the driver of the boat, since he's in charge of them all, he's walking around trying to find food or, something to make, like a hope signal thing, just in case any planes or anything fly above them. So he's walking around by himself, and everyone else is just sitting back around the boats on the island, crying and stuff, shocked and scared. And he's walking around the woods by himself when he hears a stick break, and he turns around and looks behind him. He doesn't see anything, so he keeps on walking, and he hears something else, and he turns around and he sees this deformed zombie, not zombie, but deformed cannibal tribe guy standing there with a spear. And he starts taking a few footsteps back, and he bumps into another one. And then he looks to his left and he sees another one, and he looks to his right, he sees another one, and they all throw their spears, and every spear goes right through him, and it kills him. And he didn't have time to scream for help or anything. He just died instantly. Instant death, boom. And that's when you guys found out that there's a tribe on this, deformed tribe on that one. So now it's going to go back to John. John's sitting there, he's like, I'm like, John's like he's not scared. I mean, he's scared, but he's not panicking like everyone else. He's trying to stay focused to find a way off the island. So John's like, the boat driver's been gone for quite a while. I'm gonna go out and look for him. And they're all like, they're like, they don't even say anything. They're like, whatever, we're panicking over here. If you're worried about the boat driver, go ahead and look for him. We're panicking. So he goes out looking for the boat driver. He's looking for a long time when he finds the boat driver's shoe covered in blood. So he's getting ready to run back, and as he starts running back, he trips on a stick. And when he trips on the stick, he sees blood dripping, like it's dripping off of a tree or something. And he looks over and he sees the boat driver hanging by his arm. His arm is like broken and tied, and it's hanging him. And he's just hanging dead on the tree. And, instantly John stares at it for a second, then he just pukes. And John gets up, he takes the shoe, he just drops it, he runs back to the boats where where Brianna and Tim and all the people are, and everyone's dead. They're all gashed up, laying there dead. John's, he pukes again, he's scared now, he's the only one left alive. But there's one person, there was this black dude that was on the boat with him. The black dude's not dead, his body's nowhere to be found. Now, John saw the black dude was, he wasn't crying or anything, and John's like, maybe this black dude's the one who killed him. Because, John, he's thinking, black people might have history of this stuff and everything. So, John, he's walking around, trying to keep an eye out, because he doesn't think there's a tribe out there. He thinks that the black guy killed him. So, John's out walking, and then John hears someone crying, and John looks, and he sees the black guy laying there. He's holding his leg's been stabbed, and John runs up to him and says, like, are you okay? John's like, he's like, no, we was attacked, and, we was attacked by these, and then John's like, these what? And then he's like, these, and he keeps stuttering, and then out of nowhere, a spear goes through his mouth and out the back of his head, and John sees it, and John's just standing there, afraid to look behind him. John's scared to death, and then, John turns around, and when he turns around, he sees about 6 deformed tribe members. So John, he's scared to death, so now John takes off running. And John's running, and John trips on this stick. And when he trips on the stick, he falls down, and when he turns his head around, he sees a tribe member over top of him, one of these deformed tribe members, and the tribe member takes his fist and just hits John really hard in the face and knocks him out. Then John wakes up and he sees all of the dead people on the trip, laying down, like all their dead bodies laying down, and the tribe people are, cutting them up and putting them over fire and cooking them, getting ready to eat them. And what they plan to do with John is cook him alive, and that way they just want him to suffer because, he was the last one alive. They want to cook him alive. So John's trying to find his best way to get loose. He's scared to death right now. He's crying. He's scared. And John's like, I'm probably going to die here. And they start cooking John. At this point, John's sitting there. He's crying. They're cooking him. And as they're cooking him, he's like, the chains that they got him tied up with start getting really hot, and he's burning through his skin. And John, he's got one of his hands loose, just his left hand is chained up, and they're cooking the left side of his body first. So John takes this machete thing that's laying there and chops his hand off, his left hand off, and he takes off running towards one of the boats so he can get on it and try to get out in the water and try to get away. And the tribe's chasing him, and the tribe throws a spear and it goes to the back of his leg, and he falls down right in front of the boat, and he pushes the boat out in the water, and he climbs on the boat, and he takes the spear out and he throws it, and they're throwing spears all around the raft. John's hand is gushing blood everywhere. John uses his right hand to get out in the water and paddle away, and at this point they're jumping in the water, they're trying to get after him. He's paddling his boat as fast as he can, and eventually John gets away and he gets out to the middle of the ocean where his hand's been cut off. It's gushing blood into the water, and out of nowhere a shark attacks the raft and kills John right there in the middle of the ocean. And then immediately John wakes up and he's on this ship and he starts walking around and he sees nobody. No one's there in the ship at all. And he looks and the ship's parked on this island and he sees the tribe, the deformed tribe standing there staring at him. And John just starts to cry. And that's how the story ends.